This weekend, Dylan Lonergan made a strong case that he should be the starter for Boston College football.
You are Locked On Boston College, your daily podcast on the Boston College Eagles. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is Locked On Boston College, your team every day. I am your host, AJ Black of Eagle Insider. I've been covering Boston College for over a decade. If you want the news, analysis, and scoops on your Boston College Eagles, you are in the right place. Locked On Boston College is a daily Boston College podcast available 5 days a week on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Boston College holds their first scrimmage this weekend, and we have three big takeaways. You got to love the play of three defenders. Favor Bate, Bam Crouch, and KP Price will explain why. Some offensive players that popped this weekend. And first of all, we got to talk quarterback talk. Dylan Lonergan had a massive weekend, and I'm going to explain what all of that is about on today's show. So has been the theme of Locked On BC for the last month. We are talking about the quarterback battle between Grayson James and Dylan Lonergan. And the next step in this battle occurred this weekend with practices on Saturday and Sunday. Now, I have said, at times Grayson James has looked like the stronger quarterback. He's had practices where he looks like he should be it. I've seen practices where Dylan Lonergan looks stronger. It's anyone's game at this point. This weekend, I put 2 check marks in the box of Dylan Lonergan. I thought Lonergan looked really good in the scrimmage. So inside of Alumni Stadium, oh man, it felt so good to be back in there. Warm morning on Saturday. They're getting ready to practice, and Lonergan has the first drive. He marches down the field, hits all his marks. He's hitting all his his passes. He has a long drive going. Now, the one caveat here, I gotta be real, it's a big caveat, is it ends when he throws an interception to Von Pemberton. So that piece I think is important to note. Grayson James, on the other hand, he struggled a little bit. His passes weren't going where they wanted to, and I thought his offense didn't move as efficiently. So I watched this whole practice. It was a 2-hour-long practice. About an hour and 15 of it was the scrimmage. And for the most part, I thought, first of all, let me say this. Grayson James, this is not I do not want to knock Grayson James. This is not like he ain't ready, he's not ready. He looked fine. Like he did look good. Like he made a good pass on the day. I think it was to Jaden Skeet. Like, he did his things. It was just, I thought Lonergan went above that. And when you watch him play, you know what I mean. Like Lonergan, he's just quick. The way he does things, the way he processes things, and the way he escapes pressure is just quick. And James can escape pressure too. I just like you saw what Lonergan can do, and it was that much more impressive. And it really kind of came down to the end. So the way a scrimmage works, if you haven't watched a BC scrimmage, it's not like they play 4 quarters and they go back and forth. It doesn't work that way. They do a few, give the ball at the 20 and then have them march. But near the end, they do situational stuff because Bill O'Brien is very much into red zone, being pinned back. How do you get out of this situation? End of the game stuff. Like he's always drilling in the situational stuff. He comes from the Bill Belichick's coaching tree. You got to respect it, right? Well, they did some red zone stuff, and it was I think from like the 10 or 15-yard line, and Lonergan was just like, bam, touchdown, Lockwood, Turbo, himself. Like it was like boom, 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 boom. And James had a couple touchdowns himself, but Lonergan, it was clinical what he did out there. And that impressed me. That really was like, whoa, that's it right there. And, again, I preface all of this by saying one practice. So we get to Sunday. A quieter practice. It's without pads. They're doing shells again because they've been back at pads. But after a scrimmage, you want to give the guys a little bit of a breather. They did, and some guys were back that you were hoping to see. VJ Wilkins is back. He's they're slowly bringing him along. Like at the scrimmage, he played a few snaps. Sunday, he played even more. You see where he's going with that. We get on Sunday the pass I've been waiting to see out of either quarterback. And it was a 11 on 11, and Lonergan finds Dawson Pough in the end zone. He's got two defenders on him, which in many cases, especially in college football, you're like, oh, don't throw it in a double coverage. Lonergan gets that ball in the only place that Pough could catch that. Like, it was a dime. He hit that shot. It was perfect, and it made me gasp. That was a pass that made me gasp. Now, again, James, he had a great pass to, I think it was Jaden Skeet again in this practice. But there was another pass that I'm pretty sure it was Lonergan that hit Lewis Bond, who would have been gone if they let the play go through. Again, I'm wondering where this is going to stop. Because on Friday and Saturday, O'Brien addressed the quarterback situation saying, we could be going with both at any point this year. We're going to make a decision, though. What point? We're now 20 days away from the start of the 2025 season against Fordham. Yes, I have told you all along, I really believe both quarterbacks are going to play against Fordham, so it doesn't really matter. But there's got to be a point where he makes a choice. And I think he won't tell the media, and we've already been banned from telling you who's first and second team. So, like, I can tell you right now who a lot of the guys who are starting are going to be, but I'm not allowed to. So, if he does that, I'm about to silence until Bill brings it up. And Bill he's not in the mood to talk about this stuff. So, I think we're going to be waiting for a while. But this weekend, it felt Dylan Lonergan had a great weekend. That's where I'm going to leave it at. And, if you're asking, like, who plays with who, they both play with, both James and Lonergan play with everybody. So it's not like I can't tell you that one does one and one does the other. The other piece with this weekend was Friday. I have to bring this up. We have a couple minutes here to do this. Owen Stodmeyer had a scary injury. Owen Stodmeyer's defensive tackle projected, I think I just had a whole segment on him last week. I don't know what happened, but it was scary. He was down on the ground for a while, according to Mike Sidley, my writer. And, he got ambulance to the hospital, and he was released that night. Bill O'Brien it was, when a player gets hurt like that, it takes your breath away. I remember Ryan O'Keefe. That one was scary too. And it sounds like things are good. Stodmeyer's been at practice. He was there on Sunday. I saw him on the sideline. So big gasp of relief for him. Like, I don't even care about the teams. Like, I'm glad he's okay. But that was something that was worth mentioning because, this is a guy that was projected to be a big player and he gets this scary injury. This is what happens during the summer months. Like, I think folks don't understand, like, injuries are going to happen. And even now you're going to start seeing them. And if you're watching football, like, I think the Eagles just lost their starting guard. Like, bad injuries just happen. So it was good. And this one was scary because he wasn't moving. And I'm glad to hear that he is okay because these are all college kids. You want them to be okay. So I think that was a big thing. And I know a lot of folks were asking about him. So it seems like it's positive. I don't know if he's going to play again. I don't know what the injury is. We don't have any speculation on any of that. But I saw him on the sidelines on Sunday, so that was good. Now, in a moment, let's talk more about this weekend. There's a few offensive players who popped, players who had big weekends, and I'm going to explain who all of those are in just a moment. We've all been there, logging on early and waiting forever for concert tickets to go on sale, only to lose your spot for a show you've been dying to see. live music should be about making memories, not dealing with the stress of ticket shopping. That's where Game Time comes in. Game Time makes getting concert tickets faster and easier than ever. Prices actually drop as it gets closer to showtime, and you can save up to 60% off with their killer last-minute deals. I've used Game Time for games themselves. I went to the Woo Sox. I've gotten BC tickets on Game Time. It's easy. When my family or friends are like, hey, let's go to a game, the first thing I go to is Game Time because it's just so easy, and I know the prices I'm going to get are better than some of those other sites. So it's so much. It's such a great one. And, if you're worried about what happens if your plans change, the Game Time Guarantee has your back with cancellation protection and more. So take the guesswork out of buying concert and show tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed. This is Locked On Boston College. I am your host, AJ Black of Eagle Insider. And before we get into our second segment, I want to point out it's this way, my new sign that I got. I loved it. I saw it. I had to buy it. Hope you guys enjoy it. Just add a little bit to my set. Like as you guys have seen, I've been adding more and more stuff to it. I'm driving my wife crazy with it, but I hope you enjoy it. All my everydayers have seen it growing. I hope you guys enjoy the only daily Boston College podcast, and I'm making it hopefully fun for you guys too. Now, this scrimmage and this weekend, we saw some players that I think are worth discussing. Mekhi Dodd. Let's talk about him first. This is a running back from Catholic Memorial, and he had the offensive play of the scrimmage. Now he was with the third team, with the guys that are lower on the depth chart. He's playing with Enzo and Jora and some of the guys that are freshmen and walk-ons. All the power to him. Rips off an 80-yard run. I want to say, with Mekhi Dodd, I like Bo McCormick. I think he's just scrappy. He's going to be a pain in the butt to tackle. Love the way he plays. But they have like a shake and bake type situation here with these two. And whether we see it this year or next year, it's going to be coming soon. Because Mekhi Dodd is big. He's a big dude. And he looks already like a bruising back for BC. They list him at 6 feet, but he looks bigger than that. I think he looks like 6'1". But, whatever the case, he's a big physical back. I love the way he's been playing. Also, I want to mention Lewis Bond. I think this is going to be a fun year for Lewis Bond because this is the first year he really has, whether it's Lonergan or it's James, a real quarterback that's going to get him the ball. Like last year, he was third or fifth in the conference in receiving yards or receptions. He's going to get higher than that because he's just so good. Like watching him out there. And I know a lot of you folks are watching or reading my reports and going, why aren't we seeing more touchdowns or what's going on here? Just know that a lot of times in a scrimmage, when a player gets outside the defense, they just blow it dead. There's no practice viability or need for guys to run 30 yards when no one's going to be able to tackle them. Just stop it, right? Because they're going to score. So we've seen Bond do this a few times. It happened on Sunday. I believe it happened on Saturday too. Like he makes a cut and he's just gone. And so I love that he's been doing that. Now we didn't see him a lot last week because he's a senior and they just, he's an older guy that's been there forever. He needed a few days off probably for maintenance, I would bet. And he just took it off. And guess what? He comes back and he's still Lewis Bond. Nothing to worry about there. Love seeing that. I also want to mention Jaden Skeet. Jaden Skeet does not get the reps, the referential treatment that Reed Harris and Lewis Bond get, but he really should. Because watching him out there, this is a guy that's going to be a perfect fit when Bill O'Brien gets this offense clicking. Like, Jaden Skeet, we saw just pieces of it last year, but against good secondary players with Skeet, I saw him Sunday especially. Like, he just has strong hands. He's had a few drops in there too. I think he's had a few drops. But when he gets that ball, he does not look like a smaller receiver when he brings it down. Like, he just is strong, and he plays strong. He gets the ball strong. That is what you want from your wide receiver. So it's going to be big having him back, And so those were some names I wanted to bring up right off the bat. But one that I got to admit, I'll be real with you guys when I say this. I was skeptical in the spring that he would be a regular player, but he's got me a believer this summer, and that's Kalen Chudzinski. Bill O'Brien said in the spring that he had to put on weight. He clearly has. He's big. He's bigger now. But he is the most reliable target, I think, in this entire offense this spring. Now, you got to be clear that at times he's playing against a lot of freshmen. He's playing against some walk-ons. That happens. But I also want to say that he has played against the, guys that you expect, like Carter Davis or Omar Thornton. He's getting there. He's going to be a guy sooner rather than later. Now, if I were a betting man, your two guys are going to be Ty Lockwood and Jeremiah Franklin. They have been both very serviceable. They're doing exactly what you expect from them this summer. Right behind them, though, I think Chud is going to be right up there. He's going to be higher than, Stevie Amar, guys like Danny Edgehill and Brady Klug. He's right there. I've loved the way that Kalen Chudzinski's played. And he's made a believer out of me. I just thought maybe, when you're, lining up against a guy that's, a walk-on, yeah, some guys are going to do that. But when you play against ACC guys, they're going to be an issue. I'm starting to think that Kalen's going to be able to handle that. Maybe this year. We'll have to see what happens there. So those are my offensive players. I've been waiting for VJ Wilkins. He's still working his way back. I have to say, me and you guys here, my everydayers, the one thing this summer I was dying to watch, not just the Grayson James versus Dylan Lonergan thing. I was waiting to see Shaker Rising. And all summer so far, he's been on the sideline. And I'm like, yeah, I'd love to watch Enzo and Jara play, but I really want to see where Shaker Rising is right now, because he's going to be a guy that we're talking about next year. But he was in the boot for a while. He's not in a boot now. He's still not practicing, but he's not in a boot. That's a positive. But that was one thing I'm dying to see in this offense. And my hope is that, they got today off, that they're going to be back, and maybe he'll start to, ramp things up like Wilkins did or Amari Jackson has, and get him and Kamori Dixon. They've all kind of started slow and then build themselves back up to play, and hopefully they'll be back. He'll be in that ballpark soon. Now, in our final segment, man, I love Favorite Bate. He's my guy this year. I'll tell you why in just a moment. Locked on Boston College, AJ Black here of Eagle Insider and host of the show. We are close to 1,000 shows on YouTube. Where is this time going? I've been doing this show for almost 5 years, 4 years on YouTube. We've done millions of new things to our production. I hope you enjoy this. We have new shorts. Go check out the shorts. There's tons of stuff out there that I've been putting in, whether it's player interviews or whatever. But thank you so much if you're a subscriber. And if this is your first listen every day, you guys are awesome too. Like, man, my first listeners, the guys and gals that make Locked On BC your first listen every single day, that's what keeps this show going. That's what gets me this cool sign behind my back. I love it. Now, let's get into the defense. Now, the defense, I have to say, someone asked me at this week at Sunday's practice. They said, AJ, you were here last year. Is this offense where is it compared to last year? And I want to say, when it was Castellanos out there, it's further ahead. I last year had times where I was worried watching him. I don't have that sense with either Grayson James or Dylan Lonergan. The defense, though, I came into camp worried about this defense. I thought Tim Lewis would be able to figure something out, but I was worried. Well, my positive realization of all of this, that Tim Lewis would figure this out, seems to be coming to fruition. Because it's been back and forth. And that's what you want from scrimmages in practices. You don't want one unit killing the other. It's been back and forth. The offense have their moments, the defense have their moments. That's what you want with a good team. And I expected, there's the players out there that you want. But the biggest surprise kind of bled in from the spring, and that's Favor Bate. We got a chance to talk to Favor on Saturday, and this guy is awesome. He is a BC guy to his core. He's talking about listening to his coaches, how he came in here. Remember this. Favor Bate, who could be your second starting edge, he's battling for it. He really is. He could be. Came in as a defensive tackle who played 125 snaps at Merrimack. Only 125 snaps as a freshman. He had 2.5 sacks. Somehow, BC found this guy's tape. I don't know which intern or coach figured this out, brought him in, and he has been the steal of the transfer portal for BC. He is everywhere on defense. He does everything that you want. He's full of energy. He seems to know what he's doing. He's physical. He's a big kid. This is something here. They got what they needed. And I thought it would be Anya Nwisi who might end up jumping in. But that's what the practice is for. It looks to me more, and Nwisi's had a good weekend too, but I'm not discarding him. Bate has been not lights out, but just rock solid since the start of camp. Now, Bill O'Brien, he's already said we're going to see Bate this year. And I'm telling you, he's going to be a fan favorite. He's going to be a guy that when it comes to big plays, he's going to make a few. I really do believe that. And then also when it comes to the defense, you got to mention Bam Crouch. Bam Crouch is everywhere. This is your linebackers, with McGowan out right now and Kamori Dixon figuring things out to get back on. Bam is a tornado on the field right now. He, as I was talking to another writer about, he's in the middle of the field. And then all of a sudden you're watching a play on the sideline, and who's making the play? It's Bam Crouch. He's just everywhere. And he's talking, and he's the leader of this team. Really, really good so far. And then I cannot say enough about KP Price at this point. KP Price is going to be an NFL safety. He's going to be. He is so good. And the plays that he makes, he has moments where he just takes over a practice. There was one point, and I want to say it was mid last week, where, they were trying to get the ball to one area of the field on a couple different plays, and KP Price was there every single time to break that play up. He's smart. He's physical. He's athletic. He's got it all. So I wanted to mention these three because it's so easy to talk about the offense when it comes to this, but I want to mention these three specifically. But I also want to say, as I mentioned before, Anya Nwisi had a great practice on Sunday. I haven't talked about him a lot. This is the transfer from Valpo. Had a really good series. Sacked, I think it was Grayson James twice, which was great. I also want to mention during the scrimmage, another guy I haven't mentioned at all, Chuck Nato from Elon, with Owen Stodmeyer out, and I think Chris Marable was just, I don't know if he's on maintenance. He was in uniform, he just wasn't playing. Nato got a chance to play, and I compared him on the site to Chibuzi Onwuka because he's undersized. He looks like a little bowling ball. He's 300 pounds, but 6 feet tall. He's just wide. He had a couple good plays. He also had a sack too. So I was glad to see the two of them. because I'm not sure what the roles of those two are going to be. People keep throwing out, will they redshirt them if they don't play them? I think they both will play. I don't think they'll just hold on to them. But I don't know how Bill O'Brien thinks about this. But it was great to see the two of them also, because we haven't really talked about them. So this is our whole recap. Additionally, punting. I know because folks are asking about punting. Andy Quinn, Seamus Florio, both look good. Both of them did what you needed to do. That's all I got to say. They were better than anything you had last year. Both of them are better than anything you had last year. And, maybe they had, they were doing a bunch of different punts, maybe like one punt each that was like, but they weren't like off the foot for 15 yards that we saw last year. So that's good. On tomorrow's show, we will get into more of things going on with BC football, any new news. We'll have it here covered. Thank you all for following along here at Locked On BC. You can follow me on Twitter at AJBlack247. Check me out on Facebook, Blue Sky, Threads. I'm on TikTok at Locked On Boston College. You can check me out there. And I hope to see you again tomorrow for another episode of Locked On Boston College. Your team every day.